Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 4 of the Human Condition of the Week. Today, we'll be talking about our second novel, which is Ordinary People. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Corey, and if you are new here, this week we're discussing guilt in literature. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'd refer back to our introduction video. But as I mentioned, today we'll be discussing Ordinary People. This novel tackles guilt through the strained family relationships of the Jarrett family and follows them as they try to overcome loss. Our guest today is Dr. Berger, the therapist for two members of the Jarrett family, their son Conrad and his father, Calvin. Through those two, Berger has also learned a bit about Beth, the mother and the wife of the family. All right, Dr. Berger, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, Dr. Corey, and thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
Of course, I'm happy to have you. All right, I know we talked a little bit about the Jarretts before the show started, but why don't you give the audience and I the full scoop?
My pleasure. I'll start with Calvin. His guilt is mainly parental from what I can see, and it seems to stem from his ability to act as a traditional father after the loss of his eldest son, Jordan. He feels like he's unable to hold the relationships of his family together, and he also feels guilty because he feels like he has to choose between his wife and son. During one of our therapy sessions, he said, I don't want to do anything but sit here on the fence until I fall off, one side or the other. I sipped my coffee and said, You see them on opposite sides of the fence, is that it? Yes, he said. Last I've heard of him, Cal overcame some of his guilt and is reconciled with his son Conrad, but is still has strained relations with his wife Beth. Speaking of Conrad, his guilt is specifically survivor's guilt because he feels like he's the reason his family is dysfunctional. After all, things have changed since the accident in which his brother died, and he blames himself for it all. Trying to comfort him, I told him, Listen, you know what you did? You hung on, kiddo. That's it. That's your guilt. You can live with that, can't you? He still faces personal struggle as his story ends, but I could tell he was able to face his guilt head on and come out a better person. He's a strong kid. Beth's guilt, on the other hand, and from what I've heard, is a lot more complicated. Her guilt is more interpersonal since she internalizes her feelings, becoming more and more distant from her husband and son. She also feels societal guilt, feeling like her whole life needs to be perfect in order to look good to her peers. In a way, she feels bad that she is unable to connect with Conrad since the death of his brother. Conrad told me once during an argument that she told him, And how did I do that? By making you look like a fool in front of a room full of people? Did you have to sit there getting those looks? Poor Miss Jarrett. Oh, the poor woman. She has no idea what her son is up to. He lies and lies, and she believes every word of it. After Conrad attempted suicide, it seems that Beth feels more guilty about how she would be viewed by her peers for not having a perfect family, rather than for not paying better attention to her son's emotions. The last thing Conrad told me was that she went away on her big Europe trip that she's always wanted to take, leaving without even saying goodbye. Seems to me like her future's uncertain. For now, she lets her guilt control her, and I hope for both Conrad and Cal's sake that her trip can help her use that guilt as something to push her forward rather than hold her back.
Wow, it sounds like you just kind of did my job for me there.
Well, I've taken a bit of liking to the family, so I couldn't help myself.
Well, I can't blame you there. They certainly are an interesting case. But that being said, I think that's all of our time today. And thank you so much for being here, Dr. Berg. I really appreciate it.
No problem, I'm happy to share my insight.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. That'll conclude day 4. And after this, we just got one day left with our drama of the week. Thank you.